Week 1 of college football is done. There were a lot of amazing games and some great finishes, some great stories, some incredible upsets. But there are a lot of you all who may have felt the feeling of defeat. Now, if we had over 100 games, there's going to be 100 winners and 100 losers. And in the player development role, handling a loss is one of the most important things you can do in the role. There are a lot of people who are going to say, oh man, the season's down the drain. There are hopes. This happened. And people just, social media, do whatever you do, don't go on social media. You have fans and others just spewing all this stuff to you and your team. And I just wanted to make this podcast episode today to talk to you about the 3 things you need to do in the role after a loss. Hello. My name is Ed Jones II, and this is the Player Development Pod. I am the founder of Beyond the Field program, and what we do is we help you find clarity in player development. We coach you up wherever you are. Maybe you're a student, maybe you're a staff member, but you need a path to understanding player development. We are here for you. And I was in the role for 6 years, and being in the role, I've had my share of wins, but I had my share of losses. And I've seen how handling a loss correctly helps and how handling a loss incorrectly hurts. Big thing I remember when I was coaching high school ball, my head coach always said, don't let one loss become 2. And what he meant by that is we lost on the field, let's not lose off the field as well. So in the role, there's a lot of things that happen, You got a lot of stuff to handle when there's a loss. So here are the 3 things that you need to do in the player development role after a loss. Number 1, you need to be there for your players. Be there for your guys. There are some guys that may have felt like, hey, I didn't get the playing time I deserved or the playing time I wanted, or there may have been guys who didn't make the plays or had opportunities to make plays and it didn't happen. There may be your freshman, your red shirt, who feel like they should not be red shirt and they should be a part of the game. Whatever it may be, you need to be there for the guys. Losses can just show a lot of stuff. It can show you what's really, the toothpaste analogy. You really squeeze, a loss will squeeze what's really inside of you out. And so first thing is you want to be there for the players in the locker room. Hey, we got it. Hey, let's keep going. It's one game. I believe in you. Hey, keep working at practice. You're going to get time because they're going to come in your office. You're going to start to see body language. You observe and look at these players that are under your influence. You start to notice things. You start to see that group, those couple group of players talking to each other. You start to see these, different things happening. That they were hanging with each other. They don't hang anymore. You need to be there for your players. When you see these things, you need to address them. Even if, I've addressed them and I've been wrong, but it's best to address them than to not address them. And what you think is happening, actually festers into a bigger problem. So you want to be there for your players, the ones that started, the ones that played, the reserve players, the ones who may have felt like they should have got in the game, felt like they could have affected the game, your scout teamers, your red shirts. You are going to have a lot of conversations across the board, but you need to be there for your players. Number 2, as you're there for the players, remind them it's a long season. It is a long season. Trust me. I have been on the other end where we start off with a win and we're feeling good about ourselves. And the next week we almost get a loss, or we do get a loss. So it is a long season. You have to remind your players that. Once again, going back to what I said in the first point, you may have players that want to play. It's a long season. Keep doing your thing in the weight room. Keep doing your thing at practice. Keep doing your thing off the field. Make sure that you're keeping your name impeccable so the coach can, as your name rises, the coach is more comfortable playing you. But it is a long season. Maybe it's the freshman who started. Maybe it's the 5th-year guy who started for the first time. Maybe it's your player who's on a watch list or all conference and they felt like either they did or didn't do well. You have to remind them it's a long season and to take it one game at a time. A lot of games in the first week are not conference games, so you still have opportunity to play for the conference championship. I had a situation where I was at the University of Houston, shout out to the Cougs, and first game of the week we beat Oklahoma. Well, guess what? Oklahoma went on and won the conference, and I think they played in the Sugar Bowl that year. And so that's a great example of having a long season. It is a long season. You want to make sure the players know that, and also you want to make sure your coaches know that as well. As they're coaching people up, I know coaches have short leases. I know fans get on there and they start, giving messages to coaches, boosters. Your ADs may feel a little uneasy, but remind everybody in the program, you have the opportunity to infect the entire program in a player development position. Trust me. Remind everybody it's a long season. And then number three, don't panic. Don't panic. Stick to your systems. Stick to your daily systems that you have. And if you all want to hear about daily systems I have, reach out to me. But you want to make sure you stick to those systems, because it is very, very important that you keep that consistency for the players. You keep that consistency for the coaches. You keep that consistency, for administration. There's a lot of people looking at you, and there's a lot of people you can influence in the role. So you want to make sure you don't panic and you stick to your systems. If every Monday, and I did this, every Monday, if you're going out in the community, continue to do it after a loss. Whatever, you stick to it. This is what it is, you all. This is how we're going to do things. This is the way it's going to go. But before I continue on, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of this podcast. Well, actually, there's no sponsor, but there's a great space for you to sponsor this podcast. Reach out to me and let's make it happen. And to continue the point, don't panic. You have the opportunity in this role to encourage so many people. There's a lot of people watching you. I did not realize this when I was in the role early. A lot of people watch you. Why? Because you're talking to the players, you're talking to the coaches. The head coach may be watching, and they may look, hey, when I was in the role, is Ed is he panicking? Is he not doing things? Because you're the liaison to the players, so you don't want to show panic either way, from the locker room to the coaches, or from the coaches to the locker room. Unfortunately, losses will happen in the role. They're gonna happen. There's a program right now that hadn't lost in 3 years. That doesn't happen every single year. The way you navigate and handle losses can be very beneficial to your players and the program as you continue on this season. Once again, do not let one loss become two. You are very impactful in the player development role, and you have a assignment to assure that everyone understands it's a long season and you all need to keep it going. And here's the message. You may be in the role, or you may be a student that wants to know more about the role, or can see yourself in the role, or a professional in another field that sees yourself in the role, and you want to learn more, and you may have some confusion about player development. You may not fully understand everything I'm saying, or you may want to know more. You're at the right place. I want to help coach you through whatever confusions or whatever questions you may have about player development, to provide you with player development clarity. Click the link in the show notes. It's the first blurb there in the show notes. Email me and let's connect. And while you're doing that, check out these videos here. And hey, if you got a loss in the first week, don't let it take you down. Go out there this week and get that W. I'm cheering for you.